This conference will now be recorded.
I've got a minute to go.
Not right on the money.
38 seconds, but not according to that clock up there.
What's going on, Apple?
Okay.
New York says two.
Okay.
I'm looking at the second.
Okay, so I'm 53 seconds behind that. Anyway, I'm going to call this meeting to order now that we've established the official timekeeper for this meeting. So clerk will note the member present, please. And we'll talk about the agenda.
Get the roll call done. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to amend the agenda. And item number 19, I would like to make that item 1A. And item 1 become 1B. And then item 20, I would like item 20 to be 2A. And then item 2 to be 2B.
Any objection? Okay, motion on the agenda
Second,
as amended.
as amended.
You call the second. Actually, he debates, he can't make the motion.
Oh, okay. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the amended changes to the agenda.
Okay. And the agenda. The agenda is amended.
Agenda as amended.
Okay, very good. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, got a motion and second. Any negatives? Okay, passes 5-0. All right, so we're going to move back here and start with item 19, which is Main Street Roswell financial report on page 98 in your packet. I saw him here earlier. There she is. Okay, you're up, Barbara. Let's go, Mitch.
Well, you have my report. I guess it's time for questions. You guys any questions on my report?
Okay, you want to go to questions? You guys have had it. I hope everybody's had a chance to review it. Any questions?
I have questions and comments that Barbara and Main Street did a great job with the UFO festival.
Okay,
The numbers for the UFO museum were up 5%.
that's good.
Money well spent. Good job, Barbara.
All right to hear it. Any other questions on the financials? Okay, hearing none. Because it's informational, we'll move right on to the request for 75,000. That's found on page 4. You have anything to convey?
No, sir, I really don't. These were committed for. Talks about what we were taking all the way down to 2024. And when I started in 2022, but I started and we were at 60,000 at that point. Basically, we're just reflecting back the amount of money that we got the decrease on. That was 25%, but each brought us 45, but we were talking about the original 15,000, bring us up to 75,000.
Okay. Any questions?
So, Mr. Chairman, Barbara,
Yes, sir.
so you're looking for 75 to make up for the 15. Are you going to come back next year and just ask for 60?
No, sir.
Okay.
So if I may, their contract in 2023 was decreased by 25% for funding issues. And so she's asking for that 25% back, plus an additional 15,000 on top. So her request for 75,000 altogether.
Understood.
Yeah.
But so back to my question, So when we're doing this process come next year, are we going to be asking for $75,000 or are we going to be asking for $60,000?
No, actually, I am going to be asking for 75 because when I first came to request it, I was at 60,000 in the same meeting that I was at to request the additional 15,000 is when you all voted, the finance committee voted to do a decrease of 25% for Main Street, the Simon Chamber of Commerce, and economic development. So at that meeting, I had already planned on asking for the 15,000. And so I'm just requesting back, like I said, the 25% that we decrease in 23, along with the 15,000 that I had planned to request for that year. So the answer to your question, Councilor, is I don't see that going down in the following year. I think we can stay put at that for there's probably quite a while, I would think.
Okay, and I guess the next question is going to be, are we going to be looking at the same amount of money for the UFO, the work that you guys do on the UFO? What did we give you all this year to
Well,
operate?
most of that money did come out of lodger's tax funding, so it wasn't a part of your, I believe it's not a part of your general budget. So we are requesting pretty much a lot of that for what lodger's tax allows us. We'll probably be asking for UFO, not just for the alien fest, but some of the other activities that will be happening during that time frame. Those will be sponsorships requesting from the city, and I'm not sure what pocket of money that money comes out of.
Okay,
But
Well-
yes, but the answer to your question is yes, we will be requesting lodger's tax funding along with City of Roswell sponsorship for the UFO festival.
okay. Well, and I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade, but we still are in what I would consider to be financial duress. So I'm not going to say I'm voting against this, but we still have to take into consideration what we're spending our funds on from the general budget.
Sure. And like I said, I'm not sure. I do know that a big portion of it did come out of lodger's tax, so I don't think it comes out of general funding. However, I'm not sure where the sponsorship money comes out of. That I didn't.
Well, and I think this 75,000 will come out of the general budget, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I yield, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. You brought up some interesting things. Let me remind the committee members that under the budget that we're now in, that we're starting out $8.9 million short. This money was not included in the budget document that I have before me. And my not thorough review, but my review is that there's potentially $3 million worth of must-do items that's going to have to be added into this. And say, I think we're going to look at that in September. Is that right, Janie? August, September? And I will tell you that hopefully we'll get a detailed breakdown from the water and wastewater on their budget must-dos, needs, want-to-dos, and what they're looking at in the future in September. So, I mean, I get it. In the overall scheme of things, this is not a huge amount, but there's lots of other pieces that we've got to look at. Because if we don't address this budget, and that's just the general fund side, ladies and gentlemen, that's not the rest of the stuff. We got to balance this budget, but we can't increase our cash reserves. We can't take care of our employees. That's just the way it is. And so I'm not trying to pour cold water on Main Street, Roswell, but I'm just telling you, we got to take care of ourselves first. We're down to, are we going to get new tires, or we're going to be big gasoline in the tank? You know, I mean, it looked to me like it's that critical. So just as a reminder, bring you back to what my major focus is. I don't know what yours is, but that's my major focus. Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move that we consider recommendation approval of Main Street Roswell request for funding to the city council in the amount of $75,000.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? Any further questions? Those in favor say aye.
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 No? Yes or no?
That's it.
Okay, 4-1, passes. Moving on. Recommended, we're going to hear from the Spano Chamber, their financial report. That is found in your page 110 of the document.
No, I didn't.
Report. That's the financial. Isn't that it? First quarterly report, it says on my agenda. It's on page 110, is that right?
I'm looking at 110, but I'm not looking at any financial.
Well, man's here. Let's find out why we didn't get a financial report.
I was under the belief that you guys were provided with a financial report.
Yeah, I don't recall. Hildebrand, you've been around the committee as long as I have. When was the last time we looked at a financial report from the Spano Chamber?
We looked at some, I don't know, 4 months ago, but they were incomplete data. And they were not updated. And we were waiting for the Hispano to do I think they used the term audit.
We were going under audit, that is correct.
And we haven't seen anything since, we haven't seen anything since those statements were made about there being an audit.
Okay, so under the audit, everything came out okay, and I can ask my accountant to provide the report to you guys. I know that there were no inconsistencies whatsoever. We honestly have a fairly simple expenses, which is Pioneer Bank that we pay for every month for the space, the printer that is leased, and we're going out of lease in next month just to get rid of the expense on that one. We have not had an executive director for 4 months, so we've been able to save that money. And we had a temporary employee that works three days out of the week. So Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And our website is once a year.
Well, last time I checked the finance, that's generally what we try to do, is finance it.
I know I have right now, and I'm looking at the balance sheets for June. But I don't know if that was provided to TJ or not.
Report for the report, which was
Mr. Chair, so this is not a financial report with respect to the fourth. We do have a third quarter financial report we received from the Hispano Chamber. This is kind of an outline of objectives and activities, but in the traditional financial sense, it is not a fourth quarter report.
Mr. Chairman, would be out of line to take this item off the agenda and put it on our agenda for that finance meeting so they can get us a financial report.
We can, that's certainly in order. If you want to postpone this, so it will have to go on the agenda next time and give them 30 days roughly, plus or minus a day or two, to get us some financial data. And also, hopefully, they will include your membership and we need to know.
Membership, I know we have 92 members right now currently. So, but yes, I can provide you the number.
So, is that a motion?
It is.
Do I have a second? Second. Got a motion, a second. Postpone this till next meeting in September. Date slips my mind right now, but still put it on to the next agenda. Any objection? Hearing none. Motion to postpone to the next September meeting is approved 5-0. Okay, down to item number 3. dealing with the purchase of some vehicles for the police department. Chief, I saw you earlier. You still here?
Right, yes, sir.
You're one of the few I'll let you.
Mr. Chairman, fellow councilors, good afternoon. We're asking for authorization to purchase 5 Dodge Durango patrol vehicles from Malloy dealership in Albuquerque. Money was funded by the council and approved for budget FY25. Stand for any question.
Okay, is there any objection? Going ahead and talking about item 4, which is relatively the same.
Same thing, let's go ahead and get them both out, I guess.
Okay. Go. It's the outfit
Okay.
emergency police draw.
Yes, so we, upon purchasing the vehicles, they'll be sent to Oklahoma by the dealership and outfitted with lights, irons, and equipment inside. This is the same company we used last year. The 2 New Mexico companies that outfit police vehicles were upwards of $18,000 to $19,000 per vehicle. But we found this place in Oklahoma last year was right around roughly $13,000 a vehicle, and I think it's gone up just a tad. So by going to Oklahoma, we're saving about $5,000 a vehicle.
That's good.
When they send them back, sorry,
Go ahead.
when they send them back, do you guys drive up there? Or do they put them on a trailer? Or?
No, they trailer them down. So we don't incur any cost or time or manpower to go get the vehicles. And part of this price includes shipment from Albuquerque to Oklahoma and then from Oklahoma down here. And the company, so far, they did all our vehicles last year, haven't had any problems. If we do have any problems, like the Albuquerque ones, we have to drive it up there. The Oklahoma company will fly out a tech.
Cool. It's all you.
Okay, any other questions on these 2 items? Okay,
Mr. Chairman, go ahead, Darrell. You got it.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of purchase of 5 Durango pursuit vehicles with the approval of also the purchase to outfit these vehicles, 2024 Dodge Durango, for the amount of $300,000
Put that on the consent
for the
agenda.
consent agenda.
okay. So looks like 600,000. Oh,
No, 300,000 total. It's 223 for the vehicles and 76,385 for
Got
the.
it. That works. I'd take my shoes off.
You get the dollar amount right?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're all
I just got a question.
right. Uh-huh.
I hope we can drive these for more than a year.
So do I.
I like
Still
that.
have some Crown Vics.
We do, and we're starting to, the first ones we wanted to get out, we had a lot of trouble, we're having a lot of trouble with the old Dodge Chargers.
Okay.
Those will be the first to funnel out. And the pickup trucks that we drive, our SROs actually have 3 of them right now. The Dodge pickup trucks have a bad issue, not just our department with brakes. So we're having a bad braking issue. So eventually, you know, in the next couple of years, we'll get rid of the Chargers, the Crown Vics, and the Dodge pickup trucks. But we'll use some of them as spares. Right now, that's all our Crown Vics and Chargers are used for, except for one. It's our SRO Sergeant.
Okay.
Any further questions?
So just to define, the cost of the vehicles is $223,615, and then $76,365 is the outfit,
Yes, sir.
for a total of $300,000.
Yes.
Okay.
Minus a few.
That was on the record.
Okay, do I have a second on the motion?
Well, I wouldn't too quick.
Second.
Is
Okay,
it on the consent agenda?
that's what he said.
Yes, that's it.
Any objection? Hearing none, passes 5-0. Okay. Belt-wise is next, page 23. That's the easiest we've handled you in a long time, Steve.
Did I?
We would have had a problem there. Okay, page 23. Who's here to talk about the bill?
I guess we got a couple, we have a representative from the Economic Development Department as well as the short answer, the short description for legal purposes. We are agreeing to be a conduit for state money. And that's about it. That's the You can describe it for me.
Yeah, thank you. I'll be happy to explain. Kevin Wilson, I'm a regional representative with the New Mexico Economic Development Department. Because of the anti-donation clause, the state cannot give money to a private business, even one that is so innovative as BuildWise, that's coming in, making an $11.8 million capital expenditure, bringing more than 300 jobs into our community. They've already hired about 33 people, half of them are from Roswell. So we're giving jobs to people who live in Roswell, and we're bringing people to Roswell. As Lewis joked, they might even be building the houses that they're living in. So basically, we are going to provide with as the Economic Development Department $400,000. It's not upfront money. Basically, it's reimbursement for land, building and infrastructure expenses when they meet certain benchmarks as far as job numbers, as far as getting certificate of occupancy. It's all outlined in the project participation agreement. And then the intergovernmental agreement is the standard by which we provide the $400,000 to the city. And then the city acts as the fiscal agent. There's no cost to the city whatsoever, except for just the administrative duty of processing a few invoices when BuildWise is ready to get that reimbursement. And I'll stand for questions, Chair.
Any questions?
Yeah, I do, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
And I read this thing and it talks about these numbers are subject to audit. Does EDD do the audit or does the city have to do the audit on these numbers?
They're part of our internal audit. They're part of the city's audit financial.
So the city will have to do the auditing of the numbers.
Yes.
So we do have some additional costs.
There are some administrative costs, and that was my thought, is our administrative costs applicable to this funding source?
Sure.
Or is the application of administrative cost applicable to this funding source? Meaning, the city peel off a percentage for its administrative costs?
It's in there.
I don't believe that.
I don't believe so. It says that we got
Yeah.
to stand on our own expenses,
Yeah.
kind of what the agreement calls for.
But Chairman, I think it's a great deal and I think it would be worth us.
I do too.
But I do think we need to make sure the criteria is met before any expenses are paid.
And as the regional representative, Jim Lucero, who lives with the Palace tonight, will go through that and make sure that they have met all the criteria for each of the tranches. And the tranche is basically a certain amount of money they can get of the $400,000. As I said, it's not a $400,000 upfront payment.
No.
It's basically broken down with jurisdictions and as you can see in the PPA.
Yeah, they won't get the first tranche till it's 27. Because we said correctly, the 12/31/26 is the first determination period.
Oh, no. And once, actually, Chairman Horn, Mr. Hillenbrand, when they are ready to do that, they can come to us.
So it doesn't have to wait till 12/31.
No, sir.
You just got to meet the threshold.
Yes, they can.
Okay.
They are encouraged to meet that threshold.
The more people I hire, the more.
Exactly.
Right. They get to the full, and they get to the full 200 and they get the full 400, correct?
Correct.
That's great. Anyway, this thing's great. Question on it says that they're supposed to put up some form of security.
Yes.
What is that?
It can be any form of security that's agreeable to all three parties, which would be BuildWise, the city, and the Economic Development Department. It can be a letter of credit. It can be just many sources of security. Basically, it's to protect the taxpayer dollar.
Correct. I get that. I just wanted to know what it was that Bill was. Are you aware that you've been wherever they are?
Yes.
Are you
It's
aware?
hiding behind you, Ed.
Directed by.
I don't blame them.
Just above.
You got to put up some form of guarantee, I guess, is what this is.
They'll give you a house.
One house.
They'll build one on the parking lot and say, there's your security.
That's fine.
Mr. Chair, I think they've got some assets on the books.
Yeah, okay. No, I think it's a great deal.
No, but on the signature, you have Bitwise, not Buildwise. Just a.
But we were hoping to get into computer class.
So that's.
Or that document, or you gotta trust them.
Yeah, we'll get it tightened up.
Okay. That's good enough for you.
That's good enough for me.
Okay. Any other questions?
We kind of jumped 5 to 6 with state EDC. Can we do both 5 and 6 together as far as?
I don't, any objection? Okay, let's move right along. We got, Representative from New Mexico on his feet. Now he's sitting down. Thinks I'm going to ignore him now. Page 28. Who's got this one? Is this yours, Sam?
It is technically, but he's doing a lot better than me today.
And basically, there are 3 documents that we do family form. One is the overarching ordinance that binds every document together. We have the project participation agreement, which is between the city and Builtwise. And then the intergovernmental agreement is between the state and the city, by which we provide the $400,000, which you will provide to Builtwise later in the process.
Okay, any questions on this extra item? What's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to put on the consent agenda. Let's see, I guess, are we looking at this, Hess is an agreement between the city of Roswell and Builtwise Structures of New Mexico LLC, and an agreement with the New Mexico Economic Development Department and the city of Roswell. Agenda items 5 and 6.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that one.
Okay, so we got a motion and a second. Any further questions? Any objections? Passes 5-0. So moving on, Mr. Nahar, I suspect you're involved with this phase 2 already.
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay.
You move to my slide, please. So just starting off, just to refresh everybody's memory, this is the phase 2 water line inside the Roswell Air Center. And you can see it from the southeast corner. Or in Midtech, running south along the fence, and then turning west approximately 900 feet north of the south fence. 12,000 feet of water line. As we're putting in the water line, we're also going to put in 2 conduits for future fiber optic, one for Smart Pipe and one for Plateau. They're donating the materials, and we're putting in putting it in the ground. So we'll already have that infrastructure in place as well. The funding for this one is coming from a grant that's been assigned to the county. James McCornack and I did meet with their special service director, their finance people, grant people, and purchasing. So at the time of the meeting, we roughly had $1.9 million left in that grant. As you can see, recommendation award for ICP at 24014 RAC Phase 2 Water Extension Project, the White House Pipeline, and the amount of $1,471,040.55, which includes GRT. It is within that 1.9 million, and we'll have a little bit of change left on that grant. I'm very happy. We had 5 bidders. I hadn't seen 5 bidders on a public works project in a long time. And came in under the engineer's estimate. You might ask, why did White Cloud get it cheaper? Well, they put in the Mystic sewer line, they put in phase 1. They're very familiar with the area. They've worked in the airport. Also, White Cloud is a family business. Tani, who's the daughter of the owner, or the original owner, is the president. Her husband is the working superintendent. Her son's part of the crew. Very low overhead because they're more or less a family business. There's also been, right now, knock on wood, slight price decrease in PVC pipe. So we also got to see that benefit. And I stand for any other questions.
Sure, yes, Chairman. So we're gonna have a little bit of money left over after this. Is there a way we can do change orders and add to this to expand the whole 1.9?
Here's the thing. I think you're trying to head in the direction of all the infrastructure for all the utilities.
Okay.
Okay, so let me explain to you what's going on with the utilities. I think that's where you're heading to. So Xcel has power in the Air Center They will not give us a quote or anything until it goes to customer. Okay? Phone company over CenturyLink already has services within the RAC. They will not give us any quotes or anything else until there's a customer. And Plateau and Sparklight, and they're competitive, they both agreed to put up the conduit, so we'll put that in. And then there'll be a price once there's a customer to get the live wire. Gas company has said they're willing to provide service. Last number we were talking about was about 100,000. So yes, we could spend money on that. Of course, I gotta discuss it with Chad and take that through all the other processes. Well, then we would have more or less all the utility infrastructure in place, or close to in place as we can get it at this point.
Thank you.
That answer your question?
Mr. Chairman, where do we stand with sewer line?
Sewer line, we had our kickoff meeting Tuesday with HDR. And we're trying to get that done so we can advertise that one in January. That money we would be using, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, a different thing.
Yes, sir. You're right.
Thank you.
You use a different term than kickoff. When you're talking about sewer.
Super Bowl.
We don't want to flatten it.
Any other questions?
You don't want to kick the can down the road either.
Very not much pleasure.
Mr. Chairman,
Sir,
I move that we award ITB 24014, the Roswell Air Center Phase 2 water extension projects to White Cloud Pipeline in the amount of $1,471,040.55 to be placed on the consent agenda.
Second.
got a motion and a second. Any objection? Hearing none, passes 5-0.
Okay, committee.
Moving on. I guess we've got the airport up now.
Here for your consideration for rent abatement increase for the cost of some kitchen equipment and a fire suppression hood. If you recall, in November of 2023, the city entered into a lease agreement with Trans Aero Limited. The lease had a pre-negotiated abatement for this equipment. It's listed as Exhibit C. The amount of the abatement was $27,736.80, and that was abated as until mid-May. They've come back. The equipment actually the amount they actually expended for the equipment was $38,360.98. And the tenant is requesting a rent abatement of $10,624.18, which is the difference between what they spent and what we do.
I'm just curious, where is Trans Aero? Where are they?
They're in the alert facility.
Oh, okay.
Maybe the Christmas tree is what they call
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Aren't there's more than a Christmas tree out there?
So, but there's a facility in the center.
Over close to the old Mystic.
Yeah, where the old used to be training.
Okay.
Listen.
And Mr. Chair, there is one other slight hiccup. Technically, what was sent to you from the AAC recommended was abatement of the full rent every month. That conflicts with the rate abatement resolution. So usually what's supposed to happen is it's supposed to be 50%, up to 50% of rent can be abated each month. If you want to take the AAC's recommendation, what we do is I'd get a resolution drafted immediately after this meeting for a one-off exemption for them. Otherwise, they would just get 50% per month instead of 100% per month. The idea being that a little bit of cash flow is good for the airport.
Further question? What's your pleasure?
So if we make a motion, do we make it, we agree to this based on?
So if you agree to this at normal rent abatement, It's like a contract amendment. It just takes a majority of quorum. If you want to do it to give them more than 50% off per month, it would be a new resolution and you'll need 6 votes at least at full council.
What is our current monthly rent?
$6,141.
So it'd take them 3 months to get their money back. Are they agreeable to that?
They'd rather have it all up front.
Sure, they expended this money.
Yeah, I mean, legal prefers to stay within the resolution with regularity because the predictability is nice, but that's just me.
Screw it up.
Well, I can see if I was in, I get my money back.
Yeah, he paid it.
He's paid it, he's due his money back.
We gotta make sure you got enough money to pay rent, and cash flow and salaries.
Oh, you get money out there. $1 million in cash balance.
I would make this suggestion, that if it's the committee's desire to go get amended beyond what we normally do, that we postpone this till we get it all together as a package.
See, that takes 1 month, it was 3 months already.
Okay, already 1 month,
Yeah.
starting, if we pass it today, it'd be 1 month already, so he'll get his money back in 1st of December.
Christmas.
I don't care either one. But it's legally sufficient for you just to leave it alone, just pass it and it goes, you don't have to.
Just pass it. They'll be getting $3,000 a month back.
Yeah.
And I mean, it be the devil's advocate. I like Transaero and I like the guys and I work well with them, but this was, they negotiated upfront a fixed price and we're going back after we went past it, even though it was a fire inspection issue. That's the issue with negotiating these things up front for a set amount.
Nothing in this says it has to be 100%. So if we pass this, we're good with the 50%.
Yeah, the resolution defaults us to 50%.
Yeah, 50%, yeah, 50% per month. Yeah. I can make a motion, sure.
Make a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion, we consider rent abatement for the increased cost of equipment at Fire Hood to the consent agenda with the 50%.
As the resolution reads.
As the resolution reads, yes.
Second.
Okay, got a motion, a second, any further discussion? Any of those opposed? Hearing none, passes 5-0. Okay. Fiscal inventory. Who's got that? On page 46.
Mr. Chair, I'll take that if I could. So you have a resolution for your consideration to consider recommending the approval of 24-36, authorizing disposal of certain surplus property, personal property as classified under the law at fiscal year end for fiscal year 24. It's a requirement to certify your inventories of your assets at year end. This is more just an administrative function. I feel comfortable with the way they've handled and managed their inventories, secured their inventories, and accounted for their inventories. As a matter of fact, this was the best inventory that we've seen in several years in terms of any margin of error. So we request this committee's approval of the fiscal year end fiscal inventory of the assets of the city. And you've got a listing there of those assets by funding source consideration.
Questions, Mr. Cole? Yes, sir.
Well, my question is, I guess some of these items, Caterpillar that's on the list.
Yes, sir.
It's for the auction process.
These are the assets that we have in inventory currently. They're not on auction.
But it's a disposal list.
You're talking two different things. This is Deanna's, what you're talking about, Chad, is what Deanna.
That's physical inventory.
Oh,
yeah.
You were going to cleanse the, yes, and it should be part of the surplus.
Yeah.
Because that was going to be my question.
Okay, shift gears.
Not what I thought.
I found.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm okay with you saying that.
And they just say scrap. How we're gonna dispose of it, there's gotta be some kind of value there.
So if it's listed as scrap, then it's not on the disposal, the website.
Yeah,
So these are all going to auction?
I question that.
Sorry, could you repeat the question? Sorry.
I question that. I don't know the shape of that D6 dozer is, but you got to list it out there as scrap. And it should have more than just scrap value, I would think, or hope. But I don't know what the condition, you're asking us to allow these to go to scrap without knowing what condition they're in.
Allowing you to go to auction, yes, and essentially auction. Scrap value is about as good as you're going to get. I mean, you never know what you're going to get at auction. It's an auction type arrangement. That's the requirement under the state regs, is that it must go to auction. I don't know the exact condition of that particular unit that you're talking about. I did go out there, I believe it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, and looked at those assets. We did look at one of the tractors. I don't think it was a dozer, but none of those are operable, and the money it would require to make those operable in the balance makes it a better deal to auction those in terms. But the specific dozer, I can't speak specifically to that one.
This is the one that was out there before the new one. D6 is the one that's only 15 years old.
I would think that's the one that came from Landfill, yes.
Thought it said it was a 99 model.
Then over the golf course.
My question is, can I answer? Even if it says scrap, is it required to go to auction first, try to sell it, and if it doesn't sell, then you send it to the scrapyard?
So there's a couple of ways you can do it. Typically, the auction is the way that fits everything. You can also donate it, not donate, transfer the assets to other governmental institutions and municipalities. But typically, you're stuck with auction if nobody else.
Even if it says scrap?
Even if it says scrap. So the only thing in terms of listing as scrap is that it's made it over to that facility. It's no longer operable. And that is typically what they list those as scrap.
Councilor Halverson, the state law, if it's worth more than $50, it has to go to auction first.
Because even scrap value is more than $50 probably.
Right. So, but yeah, we call it scrap because we're just saying it's not.
Generalized term.
But it'll still go to auction.
Yeah, we send everything to auction except true, busted pens that you throw out or something.
Another term that you'll often see is obsolescence, those types, but essentially the same thing. There's no value there.
Okay.
Limited value.
That's a 2010, and it's been out there since day one. Out of the dump since day one. It's probably gonna have a hell of a lot of hours.
Well, yeah, and I'm not saying it's operable, but I think we should try to sell it, and if it doesn't sell, then you can decide what you're gonna do with it.
I think, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, generally, when we put things on auction, we have a floor. It's this big, and I can tell you, I looked at this particular unit probably last year and maybe the year before. And the drive sprockets are almost beyond the surface. The drive sprockets are on the back. And then the tracks, one track is in better shape than the other one because it had to get replaced because it was wore out. At least that's my understanding. I didn't see it laying there so I could look at it. And the other half, if memory serves me correctly, I have slept a couple of times, is that one, if I was gonna use this for anything, I would put down place track on my list of things before it walked out of it. As you walk out of it, you got big problems. And the overall general condition of the vehicle, it's been road hard, put up wet many days. So I think for the purposes of this, with Mr. Cole's explanation, it's gonna go on auction. We're just not gonna have a floor.
And relative to depreciation, usually a useful life on something like that is about 5 years.
I'm fine with that. That's fine.
The useful life of this is only 5 years.
Basically 5 years on a vehicle.
For accounting purposes.
Yeah.
Accounting purposes, yes.
Didn't say how many hours on it.
No,
It doesn't.
it'll go to auction, so.
And sorry, to pull it up here just to give you guys, if you really want to fall asleep well tonight, 1361 is what covers it. And so the governing body, when something falls below a value of $5,000 or it's worn out or obsolete, is obligated to put it off their list. So really what this is legally saying is nothing on there is worth more than 5K in our determination.
And I just saw a 2006 Impala worth more than it. And I was like, wait a minute.
Well, I'm telling you, that this.
Yeah, no, you were there, you saw it. And I see all kinds of equipment too. We sent so much stuff to the auction you would not believe, but I guarantee you, we get cash for it.
Yeah.
People look at it and they go, oh my gosh, if I spend 50 grand on this, I've got $160,000 piece of machinery. But they are people that will actually spend that kind of money and they'll do it. People that, that's what they do for a living. They fix this kind of stuff and they carry on. And so I thought scrap, but now I hear auction, I feel better.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
Just
Any other
saying.
questions?
So thank you.
Thank you, sir.
This thing was wore out, in my opinion, when I looked at it, and still used.
Right. Replace some sprockets, some tracks, put a new seat in it.
Yeah, but that's
I'm
not
just
free.
saying.
You know what that stuff costs.
I do.
It's not cheap.
Well, it'll kill a repair budget in one visit, so.
Yeah. What's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Sir.
I move that we approve resolution 36, authorizing disposal of certain surplus personal property be placed on the consent agenda.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? Any negatives? Hearing that passes 5-0. So now. See.
Let's go ahead and remember what Chad said. It was a great inventory. Councilman Oakley.
Got a motion. Got a motion.
Second.
Okay, got a second. Any further questions on this? Because you've had 30 seconds to think up another question. Hearing none, any negatives? Motion passes. Consent agenda 5-0. Okay, now we're back to the airport. Jenna.
Good afternoon. I'm actually coming to request you consider recommending contracting services to repair through a CES contract for ILEA Communications. The director of ILEA graciously went forward on our behalf to try to renegotiate a portion of our contractual obligation in our lease to have the State Department pay for this roof repair. They were unsuccessful due to the lease rates that we negotiated a year ago. And then the lengthy negotiation process, the contracting officer just said, no, we're going to hold them to the contract. So with that being said, we are in the second year of the lease, and the requirement states that we are to modify the roof to new condition. We talked to Roof Care. Their original bid submitted to us was $348,000, but they have revisited the site and have agreed to utilize this contract and submitted a new proposal for $299,157.78. The request will require the approval to utilize our cash account, requiring a budget adjustment that Tony will be addressing in the next item. So we will be needing to use some capital outlay for this infrastructure with actually it's buildings capital.
Okay. Were local contractors contacted on that?
Yes, we have spoken to 2 others and then one originally out of Texas, Lubbock, Texas. The purpose for going with repair is the type of product that they offer. So instead of having to retake or to remove the entire roof of EPDM and go back with a TPO product or later, we could go a TPO overlay, but then we'll be required to remove the entire roof. This product allows us to apply a base coat, a carbon fiber poly fabric, and then another coat over the top of it. This will do two things. One, it can always be reapplied, therefore we won't have to rip an entire roof off once it becomes more than 2 layers. We have a limited warranty. It's not that limited. It's for 20 years on this initial application.
It's a better, stronger roof.
Yes, and then at the time the 20 years is up, they will reapply again and give us an additional 10-year warranty. So we're looking at 30 years on this price versus having to remove a TPO in 20 years.
Questions? Sir.
Mr. Chairman. From what I see here, this is not a bid. This is a proposal. So this is not going to be the exact number. Because it's just a proposal. And so I have a little difficulty I know the timing is of the essence here to get the window of opportunity to put the roof on. But there are many things on this list that are not included in the proposal cost. Some of those included the exclusions, or if they have to disconnect any equipment on the top of, which I don't know if HVAC, they're gonna have to take those off. That's an additional cost.
So there is external on the.
Oh, that's right, yeah. So there are new chillers external. The new chiller is external on the ground.
Well, but I'm just saying, this is a proposal. This is not an exact bid. And if you're wanting us to approve expenditure, they're gonna have to come back once they get the exact bid. All this is a proposal, so I find it difficult to understand why this before us without it being an exact bid.
So Ms. Lanford, this is not a quote from the company for this particular application.
This is their quote.
This is their cost.
This is what they're telling me it's going to cost.
And this is the format in which you've received the
Yeah.
quote. Okay.
It says roof renovation proposal.
It does.
It doesn't say quote.
It does.
I think as a roofers, and if I don't know this properly.
I think because it's a CES procurement, it's not a quote, it's a proposal. Just because of the mechanics of the CES.
That's how they do it. It's just proposals.
Typically, the two are the same. But what we could do, if it made you feel more if there were additional costs factored in, maybe you want to give us a percentage, maybe you want any additional cost, we bring it back. Timing is of the
essence here. I understand that window of opportunity will expire.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we need to get it done.
Whoever makes the motion might consider not to expend more than.
Pardon?
Not to expend more than. And I have no reason to doubt what they are reported. And I know I'm not a process, but I generally.
Well, I'm just concerned that it's going to, I look at the picture and there's a lot of structure, it looks like a lot of structures on that roof.
Yep.
That are going to have to be lifted off. And it's going to be additional cost.
So I've been on that roof personally recently.
Yeah.
There are no HVAC units. There are ventilation structures. Yes, sir. And they'll have to go around those ventilation structures. They may have to remove one or two. I don't think they will.
Polyurethane, correct?
They're going to go up over those.
Yeah.
Actually, it's good. Yeah.
It won't have to be removed in.
Preferably, and from what I saw, you would not remove the structures. You would go right over the top and around them and seal up. So what you have currently existing on there is a rubberized roof coating, a TPO roof coating. The problem is it is that rubbery. So if you get up there with shoes and you got to rock him, it'll punch a hole right through it. So you have these little pinholes through it. And right now we have leaks. We've had some recent rains. I'll tell you, Nathaniel Mascarenas with our maintenance department has sent his crew and they've rolled out that rubberized paint, elastomeric paint over it as a stopgap. But we really need to get this roof on. The beauty of this product, as Ms. Lamforth said, is they're going to put some reinforcing fiber over and they'll go over the top of that. This is actually going to be stronger, sturdier, and a better roof than what we started with, and not have to rip it all out, which is going to save cost.
Chairman, and I don't know, Jenna is trying to help. The administration fee, is that in your budget as well? I believe it's a 2% administration fee now instead of 1% going to the CES.
That's in the proposal. That's always in the proposal. The administration.
Again, I'm just
thinking
asking a question because I know Ed's asking about additional costs.
Right, and they got to permit this thing, so we'll have additional costs for permitting.
The permitting is usually.
It should be buried in with it, right?
Well, they say in here it's not. This proposal says it's not. So,
Yeah, but yeah, typically the permitting should.
Permitting, bonding, all of that should be part of the proposal.
yeah, but they're saying in here that, if I recall, permitting was not included in here. Permits are excluded from this proposal. If a permit is required, the project cost for the permit will be added.
There you go.
And the original bid amount was 348. What they're telling us with this proposal is that they could bring it down to 299, but you're right.
I'm just saying,
yes.
What are we trying to prove anyway?
Who's charging the permit?
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make that we add 10% as to handle these other items without having to come back. I think that's probably a more realistic number than what the actual proposal is.
10% contingency.
Or with a modification, with any modifications come back to the committee.
Either that, one or two, I don't care
I
whichever
think
one.
10% is better because that's what it takes.
How about both?
I hate coming back to the committee because it always
Make
takes.
the motion, Ed.
Well,
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the roofing amendment. I move that we approve the contract roofing services to Roof Care through the CES for the ILEA roof modifications in the amount of up to $330,000.
Second.
Got a motion second to approve not more than
330
On consent.
You want that on the consent?
on consent.
Okay,
That'll give them their 2%.
okay. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Okay, got a second? Any further discussion? Hearing none. Any opposition? Passes 5-0. Page 57, budget adjustment for the fiscal year. I think you're up.
Agenda item number 12 is Resolution 24XX. Consider approval of Resolution 24XX approving a budget adjustment for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. DFA requires approval of budget increasing revenue and expense. The Finance Department is requesting a budget adjustment for lines in Exhibit A. These adjustments are for various grants and other departments. Various funds include revenues of $7,589,536, expenses in $9,613,753.77. Staff recommends approval, and I stand for any questions. And in this, it's going to require this 10% increase in which you guys just approved for Jenna's ILEA roof.
So the expense amount's going to change. It's going to go up.
So it will make it, yeah.
30,000 and 340,000 because.
30,000. They've already got 300,000 in here.
Oh, yeah, I see it. Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I have some concern with the airport fund with these adjustments. Projected cash balance at the end of the year for the airport fund is to be $2.4 million. You're asking for adjustments of almost $1.4 million.
Yes, sir.
My question is the $750,000 TSA settlement a solid number? And what do we have to do for that?
This year, if anything, it's a little higher, but we don't want to run short for obvious reasons.
And then my other question is the sweeper for $327,000, an absolute necessity. I know you currently have a sweeper out there.
It is definitely at end of life. It doesn't even seal to the ground anymore. We're not able to pick up any sort of rubble with that sweeper. We actually have this sweeper ordered already. This was a purchase order that was in place last year and didn't come forward with funding.
Mr. Chairman, I have a real question and following up on your budget concern statements that you made earlier.
Yes.
That this is going to, I think, jeopardize, if there's anything else that comes along out of the airport, it's going to jeopardize the general fund. Potentially.
Right. Absolutely agree.
I have a real problem with the sweeper at this point in time.
Well, the one they have is on the verge of exploding when they use it. That's why those things come.
Yeah, but I have a real concern that there's not going to be enough funds left out there at the airport. If anything changes of any degree, you're going to be in the deficit. Then what are you going to do? Rob the general fund? I'm not interested in robbing the general fund.
Only place you can go.
So.
I would like to add that this is covered by a grant. The sweeper is Mexico Department of Transportation Aviation. So we only have $2,000 on the sweeper.
10,000, 90-10 airport stuff. It's 90-10 airport stuff, 90% grant.
That makes it sound a lot better.
So we're going to get 90% reimbursement on that?
Like she said.
Why don't you say that at first?
Yeah, you got to lead with that.
We don't account for that in the revenue side?
Yeah.
But we're not making we already put that in the revenue side?
Is the sweeper part of the budget already? No. Okay, no. Then.
So we need to change this.
Can I make a comment? The airport's budget, the revenue, projected revenue is 23 million and their projected expenses is 26 million. So they've got budget authority for $26 million out there to spend this year. What are the chances you're actually going to spend all of that?
About 75% of that money will be expended. A lot of ours is grant reimbursement. So large number that's tied to our budget will be reimbursed as we go. So we'll bring that money back in fairly quickly. So last year we spent about 75% of what we were budgeted, maybe even less.
So, and all you're really doing is giving them budget authority.
Right. But again, you're going to run it to the wire.
Well, and I agree. So if they've got, maybe do a budget adjustment at mid-year and let them use part of what they've already got budget authority for.
I think where we need to go.
Spend now.
Make these budget adjustments now, make them mid-year.
I agree, but you're going to have to give them the authority to.
Well, yeah, because there's a purchase order that was not carried over in the current year budget. So, but I just think it's a mid-year and not a now time.
No, I understand. Mr. Mayor, you had a comment?
You know, I just go back and look at the generators and stuff that we've had ordered last year. And when you look at rebidding the generator, they've gone up by more than 10%. You know, I mean, that's the way it was with the generator. I'm not sure that street sweepers aren't in the same boat. They just have so many moving parts. It's, being a street sweeper is a lot different than a trash truck because there are just so many more moving parts to me. But yet I know at the airport, it's extremely important to pick up every little rock that's out there on the runway for jets, and, one little rock can cause a catastrophe.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know, but that's 90/10. 90/10. I don't know if what the rebids would be like, but I would probably guess it's going to be at least 8% up, increase everything else.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not asking to rebid it. I think what I'm now making here is it wasn't put in the budget. And so it now needs to be put back in the budget. Not asking for a rebid. It was not put in the original budget that was approved. But what I'm hearing now is also that we don't have the revenue that attached to this purchase included in the budget either. So.
And I thought that you had a bid from last year at 90.
Yeah, but we didn't carry it over.
But they didn't carry the purchase order over.
24 to 25. We
And
didn't carry over the PO and therefore the revenue.
we didn't include it in the current year.
And they didn't include it in the grant.
No, the grant's okay. It's the budget process is wrong.
Mr. Chair, if I could, yeah, so agreed. This did not carry into the New Year's budget. It should have. It's a new process for us all. We've got some relatively new personnel or former personnel that have come back new. So yes, we did not get this in budget on the revenue side and on the expenditure side. And we would like to alleviate that at this point.
May I make a little suggestion?
Yes, sir.
You're the chair.
I mean, this is a catch-22 situation. And I think because it's got state grant money tied to it, we need to go ahead and do this. But I also agree, Councilor Hildebrand, with your statement. We need to do a serious look at the budget in midterm and make some big swings at it then. Because in my opinion, we need to make some big swings.
Well,
And this is part of the $2 million that I was speaking about earlier.
well, Mr. Chairman,
It's expected to be here.
I'm not sure your email is correct, but because what I'm hearing now is that we didn't budget maybe the revenue associated with some of these expenditures. So the revenue could be higher. We don't know. But what I'm going to suggest is that we wait and get a new budget adjustment. This doesn't have to be done this meeting. There's nothing here that's of critical time, is there?
Just the LIDA.
The lead up. Yeah, that's the only one that's of critical time. And then we get something that is more realistic to what our reimbursements are on some of these items you're asking us to approve the expenses on.
So,
Mr. Chair, if I could just clarify, because I'm not quite sure, I want to ask the question. Is there a critical time frame on having this purchase order in place for this sweeper that's on order and it's outstanding? And is that going to create a new audit finding if?
Well, and the purchase order was carried over. It was carried over without funds.
Without funds.
Because the only purchase orders that are carried over with funds are what is in a capital project.
Right.
It was not listed as a capital project, so it wasn't carried over, but because they requested the purchase order be carried over, it was carried over for them. So the purchase order is in place, and they can move forward.
So
And
we're
like the
good.
mayor said, if it's a year and a half from now before we get it, it won't be expensed in this budget. I don't know what the time frame on it is. But there's a document out there that is obligating us to it. And when it materializes, then we pay it. But it might not be this year.
It is.
We ordered the sweeper in September of last year, and I've spoken to the manufacturer. It's due to be delivered in October.
So relative to Mr. Hildenbrand's question, this wouldn't put us in an audit finding position at this point, and we could wait. It's not going to hurt a thing to wait on this week.
Right. As long as we buy it, just have the money in October to pay for it.
Yes, sir.
So you got
The
better.
authorization for it.
Yeah, and that's
So
the
we gotta
key
pay
is
for it
the
when we get it.
difference in budget authority versus the actual money and all of that. This is just budget authority. It's
Right.
giving them.
Purchase has already been authorized.
Yeah.
That's exactly correct. So
So we ordered this in October, September of last year.
2023.
So we created a liability in FY '24 and now we can't, and now we're asking to fund it in FY '25. Isn't that an audit finding there by itself?
No, because we've got a purchase order in place.
An unfunded purchase order in place.
How would they know whether it's funded or not?
How would they know? Well, that would be the audit finding if they found out.
Well,
I just think that's.
If we came to year end and it never got in budget, then it would be unfunded, and then that would be.
It should be a carryover purchase order with FY '24 funds tied to it. It wouldn't even be talked about in the FY '25
And
budget.
of course, we're trying to whittle down how many audit findings this city picks up because we almost lost our capital outlay funds as a city. And we are desperately working on the culture to get away from giving us these silly audit findings. But to answer your question, unless we went all the way through year end and never put it in budget, that would be an issue and that would be a finding. But as long as we put it in budget before the actual expenditure was made, the encumbrance would be fine.
well, and that's sort of, but this is just budget authority. We've already made a commitment when that PO was done and sent to the company. We made a commitment.
You're correct.
To pay it.
That's-
It's two different things. This is just giving them the authority to spend and you all a tool to look at to see
Control it.
if it's, if they're
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
make budget and all of that. Once that comes in, regardless of when it comes in, we're going to pay for it. So it'll never be an audit finding.
Well, and there's no doubt that we won't pay for it, but I just question the fact that I don't know, we remove it from budget and now we're going to put it back into budget. And that's just, that's an accounting process that doesn't.
And Mr. Johnson, I don't disagree with you. One of the fundamental things is we're trying to reduce the amount that we obligate that we
Right.
don't expend before year end. Last year, we implemented a new process, the March 31st expenditure and encumbrance deadline. That's new to this city. We haven't ever done that before. I think it was beneficial to the city in our budgeting process. But did we have a few hiccups along the way? And are we learning that we need to all communicate together? And that's the piece that we missed.
And I couldn't agree with you more. I just think accounting standards would be that you create a liability and it should be stuck to a liability because this is, this qualifies for rollover. This could roll over into FY '25 and when it rolls over, you take the funds with it. And that's why it makes it hard to understand.
Well, and it's.
Here we are asking to put budget for something that.
But it is a capital expenditure, so.
It is a capital expenditure. There's no question about that. My question is about budget from FY '24 and FY '25. I yield. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we're gonna get some adjustment once the purchase is made from the state. We don't have that money right now, and we can certainly have that as part of our discussion whenever we actually approve the money adjustment for the budget. This is just authority. It's kind of a convoluted two-step dance. But it's the cards that we got to play right now.
Sure.
I don't like it any more than anybody else. It's where we're at. Sir.
let me ask this question about, you said we had to do this for the roof, but we've approved that expenditure. They've got the cash funds that you can operate on. You've got $6 million sitting out at the airport. That if we come back and readjusted this for the correct reimbursement levels, would that be a problem? The only one that might be a problem is the rent for community development, they've got nothing in there. And you can't pay the rent, correct?
Well, what we are, but
In theory, you can't pay it because it wasn't in the budget, right?
Can't pay it out of the proper allocation that we'd like for it to be. You can pay it,
Okay.
but, and then you can journal entry it over to the proper allocation.
So is there anything on this item listing that you cannot pay because we don't have budget approval?
no. Because they don't look at it line by line or item by item. So when DFA looks at it, they're looking at the airport has $23 million coming in revenue and 26 million in expenses, and they don't care what that is.
Line item it
If
is.
they exceeded the 26 million in expenses, then we have to do a budget adjustment to make it balance, to make it equal for their purposes.
Gotcha.
But until we get to those levels, they don't care.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Chairman, I know in your previous statements that you wanted to do a budget adjustments only twice a year. And this breaks from that. So I'd like to hear what your opinion is
Well,
about making a first month out budget adjustment compared to what your goal was to make only twice a year budget adjustments.
well, I'll be glad to answer that question. I don't like it. Don't like it at all. But once again, I say these are the cards we've been dealt with. It's a process. It's going to take a while to get the process streamlined and in order. Because you can recall sitting in this committee, we were doing budget adjustments every cotton picking meeting.
Every month.
Yeah, every month we were doing budget adjustments. And we're still stuck in that mode for some reason. And I've had discussions with staff, our team, our finance team, and our city manager and his group. Have we not? About this situation?
Yes, sir.
We're getting a yes there, getting a yes there. So it's a process. It's not like a light switch. We can't just go turn the light switch off and go home. I don't like it. I am deeply, deeply concerned about the deficit that we've got going in the door on this thing. And I'm trying to hold the line, but this stuff just come up, just shows up. And I'd like to point out to the committee that LEDA grant for 6.5 balances on the top and the bottom. The school resource officer is out of whack $75,000.
Yep.
And I was going through this the other night, preparing for this meeting. Fire protection fund is a wash also.
We didn't get the notice from the grant until after the budget was due.
And that's another, that's another problem we have. Not everybody is meeting our criteria that we're trying to do. Yes.
I have a question on the TSA settlement. So what was the original amount and how many more payments are due?
Well, that's a good question. I don't have that answer, but the settlement, if I recall correctly, was around $2 million.
2.8, my understanding is.
Yeah.
And is this our second, third payment?
This would be, my understanding, our second. Yes.
So we still,
Now, wait a minute, be careful. Because as I understand the agreement is that we're allowed to use some funds to fix the problems and not just write a check for a fine like you do for a traffic or a parking ticket.
so if we spent $100,000 on a fence or a gate, we can take that out of this. So
Or on security payroll, which is.
So it's hard, and I don't know how familiar Jenna is with the deal. And I certainly am going back many months ago to recall what I've been able to recall so far. And this won't zero it out. I don't think we're there yet. Maybe next year, year after, maybe 2 more years, we're going to have that we're going to be playing catch-up cleanups, what I like to call it, to right the ship. And I agree, and thank you for bringing it up, that I want to do this.
Is this, how often do we have to pay this?
Well, it's not a payment, it's a work in
Yeah,
process.
yeah, but
It's whatever.
it's annual. This is
Whatever they can get to,
the
whatever
only time we're going to see this in the budget?
It's
wasn't in there.
this year.
For this year.
And then next year again.
Yeah.
And so what that is we've got to meet certain elements. And as you know, TSA is very cagey about anybody seeing this agreement. There's maybe a handful of people. I don't even think Jenna has seen that. So as has, you can elaborate more on the actual fine. The way this works,
Can answer your question.
the way it works is we have to meet certain elements with certain employee, staff, security.
Yeah, I understand. That's why we got fined.
Fencing, yes, all those things.
Part of that agreement, the other.
That's what this pays for.
To have a third party security out there as part of the agreement. That's an ongoing expense.
Yes, sir.
It's not one and done. Some of this stuff like gates and fences and whatever else.
Electronics.
It is a one and done. It's process. I don't like the process, but once again, these are the cards that we're dealt with. We just got to deal with it best we can. Cass, tell us where we are on the TSA.
On PSA, so without going into too much detail, they have our amended final airport security plan, and they should turn it around in less than 2 weeks. We've been credited with nearly $1 million in expenditures out of the 2.8 we needed to get to. So we got another 4 years before, including this fiscal year, to spend the rest of it. For the most part, the reception from DC has been highly favorable. The Albuquerque TSA office is a little more difficult, but they had an up close and personal relationship to the predecessor administration at the airport. So they have some traumatic injuries to recover from.
Same relationship as the folks that Ilea roof, that's the last term.
So, but yeah, I'm pleased with how it's going. We've had standard issues like the security that we had to hire were not doing what they were supposed to sometimes. And we've corrected that, and TSA even brought somebody in to help educate them personally too. The working relationship's a lot better. At the end of the day, it's just, we're obliged to spend this money. The more we spend up front, the less liability we have in the future if we mess up. So every dollar we spend today is a dollar we can't get fined in the future.
This is also part of the $3 million that I talked to you about.
And what I will say is what's kind of, at least with RARA coming, is some of these expenditures are going to be helpful and they're going to have a dual impact. So the entrance for RARA is going to be a security gate expense that we can probably actually take partial credit for in the settlement agreement, things like that.
Things are working.
You know, we got a mess, but I'm going to tell you, we could solve all that if we'll just take and put a red light on that street sweeper and then give him a ticket book, the operator a ticket book, and get in just like Christopher did. We could give the guys tickets for speeding on the airport, and it'd be a security vehicle. Everything be fine, and we'd all be fine. It'd all be all the FAA qual.
I'd rather get it all in one.
Just put a red light on the top instead of yellow. Have to give a ticket book. We used to give all those people tickets from his office.
Well, I'm not going to say about the court situation, what the fine would be for those tickets. I'm not sure.
And so the thing that the state got a mess. The state did it for us. They can't, like, we used to take credit for court costs and can't do that anymore.
Can't get bad fee either.
We're getting no relief.
Yeah.
Across the street or magistrate court, district court, anywhere else. And some of those things they severed were specialized funds to go to the computer fund, to go to this program, that program. I used to have that list memorized and it just disappeared. So I tried to chunk it out of my memory bank.
It was $29. I think was the total number that we used to get.
75 at magistrate court, so.
Yeah, we used to get 29, if I recall, what the judge said. So anyway.
So anyway.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to make a motion that we put on the consent agenda approval of resolution 24XX, approving budget adjustments for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025.
Extra 30,000?
Already in the other one. Or with the extra 40,000, if we need to add that to it.
And the adjustment to revenue side on the.
I second.
Discussion.
Yep, further comment.
I disagree with that. In that this ought to be corrected and sent back. There's nothing on this item from what I'm hearing from Finance Department, except for the roof,
Well,
The LEDA and the fire protection fund.
the fire protection fund.
Yes.
Are the only items that really need to be addressed at this point in time. The rest of these items could be mid-year adjustments when you look at all your adjustments.
You want to amend it?
You know what? I just want to get through it.
Okay.
Whatever we need to do. I mean, I'm tired of talking about this bullshit. So let's get it going, get it over with.
Well, I'm just trying to follow what the chair wants to do in these budget adjustments, and it's not Finance Department's fault.
It's not.
These are budgeting problems that we had this year, that these items didn't get placed in there, except for the LEDA grant and the fire protection fund.
And
All the
fire
rest of them
protection
are
has
budgeting
the,
issues.
Fire trucks that they have to make the payment on next month.
Right. So.
I'll put my motion back and I'll let you go ahead and make the motion on what you like to. I understand the whole situation. I've listened to it for 30 minutes now. And it's a real issue that we have. And so let's get it addressed and get it done and move on.
If you remove your issue, you remove your second.
I'll remove my second.
Then I would like to make a motion there, Mr. Chairman. I move that we amend the budget adjustment for August 2024 to keep the revenue amounts in. Because that's the resource officer, is that a state grant
That's from the school district.
from the school district? So that we keep the revenues as the Exhibit A has, the total amount of $7,589,536, and the expenditures to only be the fire department protection grant, the amount of $1,064,536. Do we need to amend for the LEDA grant?
Yes.
And the LEDA grant for $6,500,000.
What are you going to do with the roofing project?
It's in their budget. Well, it's not in their budget. So, but they got enough cash, but I'll put it in there.
Okay.
And the
For
330,000 for the ILEA roof.
And the TSA settlement?
We don't know what that is.
Okay.
And you can get a budget adjustment on that one during the year.
Okay.
Because they've got sufficient cash out of their operating expenses.
So the TSA settlement,
It's out.
the sweeper's out,
Yes,
landfill is out,
yes,
the hospital payments are out,
yes.
the school resource is out right now.
Correct.
Sunwest rent,
It's out.
community enhancement, demolitions.
That's out.
Right. See that? We discussed that, I think, in legal the other day.
Yeah, they said they had no budget for it. They weren't doing anything, and
Yeah. So that's gonna have to be addressed at some point.
right.
So
And the school resource officer that tops out?
resource officer on the expenditure side is out right now.
I'm talking about the revenue.
Huh?
The revenue.
Revenue side's there. All the revenue stays the
Oh, all
same.
the revenue stays the same.
Hospital payments coming out, resource office comes out.
Yeah, I got it, those 3 years.
I'm okay. I think 25,000 less ran in, but if somebody wants to make a motion.
And the revenue adjustment,
Okay,
I seconded.
that make your.
let's get some half figures to see how whack we are.
Okay, so revenue is staying the same at 7,589,536. In expenditures, we are keeping the fire protection fund, LEDA grant, and the ILEA roof, which comes out to $7,894,536.
That's my motion.
Okay, got a motion. Do I have a second? Got a second. So did you get all those adjustments?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm gonna hang on to this sheet.
Yeah.
Any further discussion
On the consent agenda.
on the consent agenda? Any further discussion? Your second cover the consent agenda?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? Any opposition? Hearing no opposition, 5-0. Okay. So I guess we're down to the minutes, and we've got a minute set that I think everybody has a copy of. There's an email to you also about the change.
Yeah, those are mine.
Closure on the minutes, as, I guess, we just need an as amended because we've got the presentation here in front of us. I don't know, I need a parliamentarian counselor. Even though it's not what's the same.
Yes.
We haven't done that, so this is just, I said, it's been amended from previous disclosure.
Yes.
We don't need a formal amendment, we just adopt it. Okay.
Chair, I make a motion that we accept the minutes from the Thursday, June 6th, 2024 meeting.
Okay.
Second.
I'll second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, any opposed? Hearing none, passes 5-0. Minutes. Receipts.
Receipts for July were $4,360,577. A variance to the positive of $368,430. So we're up in GRT 9.23% above budget. Next slide. I can't read that, it's too small, but there's the breakdown in your packet between general fund, roads, public, safety, and recreation. And that's how we allocated the gross receipts for the month. Next slide.
Jamie, could you answer the question? Go back to that slide. I'm trying to understand what the first column is. I can't get that number to tie back to anything. It says fiscal year 24 total. I don't know what that. You see that? It says 17 million at the bottom. I don't know what that.
It's
what that total is, what that column is trying to tell me.
Like total allocated minus total administrative fee.
It's your actuals. So in your budget packet.
It goes back to the budget. It'll tie back to the budget. It's the actuals.
Tab 4. So is it 17 million?
Yeah, I just don't know what the column's trying to tell me.
Oh, and now that I'm looking at it.
Is that in?
I mean, if you probably didn't prepare this.
No, I didn't do it. But
I don't know what the.
I will be doing it going forward.
Yeah, but I don't know what that column's trying to tell us.
Do you remember where it's at? Tell me where to go.
So I'm wondering if it's the actual from the same month last year.
Yeah, I don't know what it's trying to tell me. Okay. It's not the month, it's not the year.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I don't know what it is.
What page are you?
I'll have to look.
From here,
Information or report?
I just don't know what it is.
Application.
It didn't tie to anything. And I just want a statement, Counselor, that when we look at what the revenue increase was, when you pull out the public safety number and compare it to the previous year, it's not any increase at all.
Right.
There's no $79,000 increase in over the previous year. Just to make you aware of that. It's just the trend is, as we've said in there before, it's not going up. It's staying flat or going down. So
But the key point is you can't, I'm not looking for any increase in revenue. Just, I'm actually thinking, I hope we can hold what we've already budgeted.
Yeah.
Here's the slide. So you could see we unhid everything. So you can see where the numbers carry over from month to month. So it's these months going in here. Oh, so it's.
But that's only for March, April, May, and June. That's what that is.
Yes, we just.
So it's just for those 3 months.
Yeah.
I don't know why that would be on there then.
I know, and the one thing that I think we're trying to do, because that's when
I think that's when Tammy started doing it like that.
yeah, she's doing that because we were trying to separate out what the
Can you click on G? I'm sorry, G.
what the public safety funds were, because that's the only schedule that shows us where the public safety funds are. I think that's what that schedule is put together. And so, because we need to take a real true look at what our GRT, when you look at them when they're combined, it could be misleading. So that's what that FY24 is, and it's just 3 months.
Well, and 3 months that don't have anything to do with the month that we're in.
No.
Pardon me?
G8. Can you click on it? I want to see the formula.
G8.
G8.
Just the one cell.
Cell.
Yeah, it's already here.
In the total box.
Yeah, there you go. There's a form.
Okay, you're right.
So it's just those months accumulated. It's not telling us anything.
Yeah.
What I would suggest is that we look at something that shows us what the GRT on a monthly basis, so we can see how much public safety money is in for GRT is. So if that's suggestible, I'd like to make that suggestion.
I see the reason why it's like that, though. That's just when it started.
Check it all. More disclosure, the more we get this thing narrowed down, the easier it's going to be for all.
I think the more finite data we see or use, is that a problem to do that, Jane? Okay, thank you.
Next one. This is showing actuals for 23, 24, and 25, and then the budget for 25 and the actual. This is the cannabis. Cannabis came in at 26,593. It's up 7,476 above budget. We still don't have good history there yet. And they're having issues in Santa Fe with everybody reporting timely and accurately. So we're seeing some waves that until they get it all squared away, we're probably not going to have good comparisons.
I understand vendors are not great at paying their taxes on time.
I knew that comment was coming. I just didn't know from who.
Cannabis tax has a high of lows.
I knew that was coming.
Okay.
It's just about our population. I mean, it's a sad thing. I'm sorry.
There are committees that refer to you, the for all hotels did report on time. The STAR data shows a 56.3% with a 27% increase in ADR. Next slide. May 24 activity based on June remittance, occupancy again at 56.3% with 126,741 collected. And next slide. And the May 24 activity based on the June 24 remittance for the lodger's tax, the bed fee, we collected 63,000. $730. Any questions?
Question.
And I ask this every month, but what about the Airbnbs? What's
Airbnb, so we actually.
Yeah, so we are gonna try to get all of these short-term rentals from Airbnb and Vrbo, and send out notification letters. Last time I spoke to Airbnb, they didn't give me any information because I am not a tenant or a landlord. So we are gonna see if I can draft up a letter to those organizations. If they will.
Still a problem.
Yeah, it's still a problem.
Yep.
And those it's down multiple times out there.
Yeah, we took the ones that we have listened for, sent out notification letters the last couple of years, and then we also send emails if we have email addresses to let them know that they need to register and do their lottery.
And do we follow up with those?
Code enforcement is the one that was following up, so there's been several changes in lottery type, but Justin and I are working together to try to make sure that we stay on top of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, before we get away from the lodger's tax, kind of take us back just a little bit, because part of the conversation earlier on the Main Street Roswell funding and stuff had to do with the lodger's tax. But my question is, $75,000 we just approved for Main Street Roswell, is that coming out of the general budget?
Yes.
And is that already in the general budget?
No.
No.
So we're gonna have to adjust the general budget come next month.
For mid-year, I don't know exactly how we're done, but you're right. There's gonna have to be an adjustment made.
The Main Street Roswell EDC and Hispano Chamber would be paid out of the Economic Development Fund. In that fund, there's, after the 200,000 for economic development, there's 43,827. So if the 75,000, which was approved today, and if the 50,000 for Hispano is approved, we're going to be short 81,173. And that would be a transfer from general fund into this fund.
Yeah, that's one of those funds that we have to.
It's a special
decide how
revenue
much
fund.
to put in there and vote it in. It's not one of these where we have any kind of special tax, if you will, to fund that line item. We just make a decision to put that money aside for other things. That's what is somewhat cumbersome about our budget process is we've got all these specialized line items and specialized expenditures and specialized income. And the income has specific things you can spend that money. You can't just go, oh, there's another 100,000, let's grab it, go. Because of two parts to that is what's mandated in state law, and the other part of it is what's in our ordinance, been in place for a number of years.
So we'll wait till mid-year to make those budgets.
I would highly suggest that. And we'll just have to hold funding until we make a decision in mid-year, I guess. That's the way that would work.
Yeah, because it's a fund specific for those, and there wouldn't be money in there to be able to pay it, so.
So final chamber, how much are we gonna have left if we just take credit for the 75,000 that we gave this?
We'll still be short about 30,000.
But they're paid quarterly, right?
Yeah.
So we don't need an adjustment until mid-year.
Later, okay. So, another one of those little things you gotta try to keep track of. It's not easy. These folks that try to keep track of all this stuff even lose track of it because there's just so much. Try to keep track of it. So, not throwing any rocks or anything, I'm just telling you. I've worked on lots of budgets, and this is the most complicated things I've ever worked on.
A little bit late.
In government budgeting. It's just
Thanks for clarifying that for me.
Yeah, and we just can't get in step on this deal. I don't know how much longer it's gonna take for everybody to get homed in, and let's concentrate on this stuff. Okay. Any questions on lodger tax? Any other questions? Convention center bed fee? Any more questions on grocery receipts or cannabis? Okay. Move on. Then we need the library's report on starting on page 79. Anybody here from the library? Don't see anybody?
They have an event going on over there.
Okay, well, good for them. So that moves us,
Yeah.
to the golf. Page 82.
Oh,
Come on, Tim.
there's good news.
You're up.
Finally. Yeah.
Yeah, give us your report.
Well, yeah. Jim asked for me to stop by. He's out. Anybody that doesn't know, I'm so bad about, this is Jonathan Allen, our partner, Rose, right hand. Awesome.
Next door.
I don't know if you guys do it June, July. I don't know exactly what a good month is. Did approximately 158,000 book revenue last month.
Mr. Chair.
Which is great.
Tim, yeah, let's talk about your revenue. That's a success story I'd like for them to hear about. We know that you've got some ideas on cart fees and some other things, but walk me through it, how it's going on at the golf course. You've done a lot with tournaments, and our big problem right now is getting a tee time.
Yeah, we've been extremely busy. Last Saturday, we did 180 rounds. I'm not too sure how everybody's golf, but I've been a part of 180 rounds. I mean, that's pretty much someone walking through the door as much as you can. In fact, we actually ran out of carts. So unfortunately, we had some people waiting for about 15, 20 minutes. We alleviated the problem. We started opening at 7 o'clock to try and accommodate more people. And like I said, from 7 o'clock to 7:30 at night, we had people continuously coming through there. You can see in our numbers, we did have a great June. We actually had an even better July. We were right at 162,500.
That's something you guys haven't seen a whole lot of. Revenues are outstripping expenditures in that department, and we look to continue to do that.
Been a long time coming.
Yes.
Yeah, very blessed that my name's been mentioned with that golf course. We've done a lot, like Chad mentioned, as far as to increase even revenue a little bit more. Our goal was to increase cart fees, increase green fees. The reason behind that is we're doing a lot more memberships, and when you do buy memberships, you don't pay green fees. And we have a better cart than our competitors. We have GPS, we have geo-tracking, so we justified it increasing fees and decreasing green fee fees a little bit. We did 3,500 rentals this last month. So
In comparison for the group, typically you see a lot of cash out there at that course. Right now, your cart fees are $15.50. You've got the best carts in town, and you'd like to bump those up to $20 bill.
I would, yeah. So cart fees are $16.57, which it makes it kind of a nightmare getting. If we did it even $20, it makes it really easy to get in and out of the golf course. Had we implemented that this last month, our revenue would have been up right around $11,000. And I have mentioned it to people, no one's fighting back. I think they've kind of expected it to happen. And lowering green fees just a touch, it would have been like $3,000. So we would have been up an extra $8,000, which would have put us at $170,000 for the month, which is, like I said, as far as I'm concerned, that's a pretty good month. Everywhere else I've been, pretty good.
And Tim, I really love what you're doing out at the course. Mr. Matthews and I went out and visited you the other day. That course is looking fabulous. We continue to hear that from everyone in the community. I know we had talked about a mural on your building. At some point, we've seen that $40,000 grant that was going to be used for the visitor center last year. We repurposed it and used it for the train tunnel. We've got a beautiful mural on the museum as well that came from a similar grant. That grant application is outstanding as of right now. Tim and I are working, and we got some contacts to reach out to Miss Nancy Lopez, the namesake of that golf course, to try and do something to repurpose that grant for this year. We'd really like to look at a Nancy Lopez and her father Sunday sculpture out there where the old willow tree was at the 18th hole. It's the first thing you see when you walk in the door. Something classy, something beautiful.
Yes, ma'am. But I don't have a whole lot. I don't know if anybody has any questions for me.
The green mower has an oil leak.
Yes, there was a hydraulic fluid leak.
Yeah, I saw it on Evergreen and I'm like,
Yeah. I mean,
I looked for it, but I knew I'd see it.
it is cosmetic. It'll grow out in a month.
Sure.
But it's very frustrating. It is ugly to look at. Like I said, I can't say enough about David Blewett, our superintendent. The guy does everything for us. He fixes every machine. He sprays chemicals on all the golf courses. It's something as small as the refrigerator not working in the pro shop. He handles that as well. I don't think he's quite given enough credit as he deserves, and his whole team.
Greens are beautiful.
Yeah, green, the whole golf course.
It's like a beautiful green and then a little bit of oil spill.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
It is very.
no, it is so beautiful out there. This guy's done an amazing job, I swear.
Yeah.
And you're getting kudos all through town. There's people that are leaving our other golf course going over there.
Yeah.
When they leave Ruidoso Links to come over here, man, it's just it's a good feeling, man.
We do. We get a lot.
Seeing our revenue go up, you guys are knocking it out of the park.
Yeah. I wish we could take care of all the credit, but there's a lot of people.
Well, yeah,
there's a lot of people here that are not, that do all the really grimy stuff. They get there really early. We stay late. It's a good situation at the golf course. If anybody plays, but
We really look forward to you coming back and talking about these new tournaments that you're bringing in, particularly in the months of August and September. Those are new to the course.
yes, sir, they are.
Mr. Chairman, Tim, it's more of a question for Chad because you've only been in that position for 4 months now.
At 3 months. Yeah, very, very good. My tenure's been pretty limited.
Well, you're doing amazing work, both you guys. Really, really appreciate everything. What would be nice to see is a comparison of May, June, July of last year compared to what it looks like this year, because I'm going to bet you that it's impressive. And
Yes, I mean, so I looked at the fiscal report from last year. It was probably close to $160,000 in the last 2 months, in June and July of 2024 compared to this year.
All difference in that.
Okay, question.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
This profit, does it stay in the golf course, keep doing improvements and stuff? Or you can't move it somewhere else, right?
It stayed.
That's because that's been the problem in the past. They take, you do good, we're taking your money now.
Trying to take it.
No, I'm not trying to take it. I want to make sure it stays there.
Well, I'll tell you, the big deal right now, we've got two big deals throughout the city that keep propping up like a sore thumb. HVAC units and roofs. And right now, they need a new roof like there's no tomorrow. They do.
So they need this profit.
They need that profit, and but they've got it looking beautiful with the money they're bringing in, and they're bringing in some profit. That's new.
Yeah, I like to see them self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Well, and merchandise, if you had more merchandise, man, you could kill it on
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've talked to Chad about, you know, it's just, it's going to get better and better, but we're going to have to adjust the budget to allow us to bring in more, to make more.
What do your golfers want to see out there in terms of the merchandise? What do they want to see on that shirt?
Well, we're working on it. We talked to Sarah, which, I mean, so the R is great. I mean, but if I see the R, I mean, everybody in here is almost worried about it because it's meant for city employees. Members aren't exactly looking to buy something like that. We're looking at maybe trying to re-logo, but I think we do have to implement the R and the Roswell. So we're working on a few ideas.
Everybody that comes from out of town wants a Nancy Lopez.
I was gonna say, you need something that is golf course specific.
Right.
Not about the Roswell R, but about the golf course. Because all the golf courses you go to and play, and you're buying some paraphernalia from there, you want that to be designated as, I played golf there, I played there.
Yeah, I mean, if we have a logo and you look at it and you think Nancy Lopez Golf Course, that's kind of the goal we're looking for.
Right.
So, I mean, like I said, the R is great, but when I see it, Mr. Nail, I'm obviously thinking city worker, somebody's wearing it out of the restaurant. You're probably thinking they're a city worker, whereas if we have something that is more golf course specific, you can tell they got it from the golf course.
That's exactly right.
You are with the golf ball in the center or not?
Yeah, so, I mean, yes, but.
Yeah.
But when you put it on a t-shirt, you can't really tell, and then it looks like it's forced on there, doesn't necessarily look great.
Like the competition.
Every once in a while, you gotta get away from the football.
Yeah.
Make it about the golf course.
Yeah, but all the new golf clubs are coming out. John is setting up demo days, I'm setting up demo days. And the market that we were allotted, we will sell that by Christmas.
The entire year's budget, you're gonna sell by Christmas.
You guys doing lessons and stuff out there?
I'm just more focused on children and the youth. Jonathan, he is also with a college golf coach, so this guy, he's got a great eye. He helps anybody that wants lessons. It is very time consuming to give lessons.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of other things going on, but we give it to
I understand.
Yes, sir.
You saying you need a lesson?
No, my wife. Coaching the golf team at Goddard for as long as I did, I get it, so.
I need it.
Thank you guys.
Worst, yeah. Yeah.
And I can't help my wife.
Oh,
I wasn't gonna go there.
yeah, Mr. Cole, maybe you ought to increase his allotment purchases in that shop.
Oh, yeah.
You increase that up.
So, yes, Councilman Hildenbrand, the next thing that we're gonna be coming at you guys with is a budget adjustment request. Heads up, but it's good news.
No,
It's good news.
He's running almost 18% of his total revenue in 1 month. Year. So
Amazing.
let's not hinder him. If he can sell it and you get the margin on it.
It's one of those great opportunities where it's coming to life.
And, and if you just take his average, what the cost is for the full year out there and divide that by 12, he's up, his revenues, his profit, not revenue, his profit's up $20,000 over that number. So that trend won't hold because you got the winter months, but the idea is he's on a hell of a good trend out there.
And Mr. Chair, just so you know, he is thinking ahead. That's the idea with these cart fees. Again, we've got the best carts in town. That's the idea with lowering the greens fees to continue those revenues on volume, continue to have that problem with the tee time. He's thinking ahead to keep those revenues continuous. He's bringing in new tournaments that we didn't have before. His memberships are through the roof right now, but that's going to taper off at some point. He's looking ahead of that.
It'll stabilize.
Yeah. Well, with a lot more people, we saw a lot more beer, snacks, drinks. So same thing with that portion of our budget. We'll run through that.
I saw that.
December, January as well. Everything's just trending in the right direction.
No ridiculous pot out.
That's good.
Keep that up when we'll be talking about building the capital expenditure for a new clubhouse.
Yeah.
Well, we need a for the golf carts.
Golf cart needs to be.
That clubhouse has been an eyesore for a long, long time. We need to take a serious look at cart paths. And I'm hearing that from my golf playing friends all the time. I mean, I went out there and drove, they were gracious enough to lend me a golf cart for about 20 minutes. And I drove the course, the west side, didn't have enough time to go onto the east side of the course. And you're right, looks great. The vegetation's all looking healthy. Back when I played golf, it looked like the desert. And I can't play anymore for health reasons. So I'm really excited about this. I think it's an outstanding venue and I need support as much as we financially can. Lisa?
Greens are tough to deal with, and I hear you have some situations on number 16 that you're working on.
Yes, sir. And it's just throughout the golf course and with David being a little bit short staffed, instead of fixing things like that, he's stuck on a golf course. So we are doing your problem and if we can do that, the sky is the limit.
Well, it was not a shocker to this committee or anybody else. We're looking at getting some part-time help for Mr. Blewett and crew out there, and trying to take care of Patrick, Esponce, David.
Well, my assessment is all any more than walking. A year from now, they'll be running.
As of now.
We haven't even touched the marketing. All we've really done is change the culture of the place. And next up is marketing and.
I'm excited. I think this is outstanding. Okay, any more questions of the call? Sorry we kept you on your feet that long.
No, not at all.
It was all good.
Good stuff, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, now we're on to
Museum.
Museum. Okay, museum's here. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Yes, sir.
So in addition to the written report, I just wanted to give a shout out for Josh Berry and his rocket sculpture that was installed. Thank you very much, the Mayor Pro Tem role, Councilor Hildebrandt for emceeing the dedication, which went really, really well and was very able to attend. But I think it's a really great asset for the community, and there was a huge turnout for the dedication and a lot of excitement during the UFO Festival. Thanks to everyone involved in that. Our renovations are continuing. Fantastic, but it's going to take a little while longer to finish things up. The terrazzo floors, I think I mentioned last month, were finished up in June. So if you haven't had a chance to come by and see those, please do. They look really great. They're on the north and south corridors of the museum. You can come into the planetarium right now during the main entrance closure. We have a opening tomorrow night, and the mayor left out that Jane Abrams is a really well recognized New Mexico artist, very mature artist. And it's about, I think it's about 50 years of artwork that's going to be on display. And it'll be opening tomorrow night. So if anyone's around, available 5:30 to 7 o'clock, we'll be giving a gallery talk and we'll be doing a small reception for her work there. I think that's it, unless there's any questions.
You want to cover Museum Day?
Oh, yes, sorry. So Museum Day, we're doing that again this year. That was something that we started last year, and that's all 7 museums collaborating together to have a museum-free day on September 14th, which is a Saturday from 10 until 5. And so we received a $1,000 donation, or we'll be receiving that from Pioneer Bank to help sponsor our marketing, which is really great since we're all working together on it, that it covers everyone. And then we'll be returning with our Signing Art Festival on October 12th. That'll be happening. So if anyone knows of any school groups or community groups that want to participate, it's very much dependent on community partnerships. Last year, I think we had close to 30 different groups representing schools, Boy Scouts, and other groups around the community.
I would like to comment on Museum Day last year. I know several with the museums that have participated. It was amazing. And several of them had their highest count for, the daily count.
Yeah, we had 641 people who came to the museum that day. And then overall, people who went to all 7 museums in the community. From Walker Aviation, down Air Terminal,
Nature
Museum, Anderson, Historical Society, and UFO Museum.
It's a good community event.
Well, I promised to come by when I get caught up on my present ailment before I do some more damage to myself.
Chair.
Oh, no. Are you going to push it? Well, no, I won't.
Yeah. Fired off. I'll take over.
I didn't have in my report, I'll be doing a press release on it. So we did receive our reaccreditation, and that's what you remember I spoke about like in the spring. We go through reaccreditation with the American Alliance of Museums once every 10 years, but because of COVID and other complications, it's actually been since 2009. And it's the highest achievement that a museum can receive in the United States. There's only 3% of America's museums that are accredited, and the fact that we've had it since 1978 is a huge achievement. So we now are reaccredited, and we'll get something on the paper about that, but just want to let everyone know.
Good job. Good job. Yeah, nice. Yeah. Okay, that's public affairs.
My report stands as presented, but I also just wanted to remind everybody of National Night Out on Tuesday next week at the Roswell Recreation and Aquatic Center. It's at 6 and ends at 8:30.
Yep. Thank you.
You know, if they're giving backpacks out or just in school supplies? The flyer, well, the letter he gave me said school supplies.
I took
The letter that Sergeant,
some over to the police department yesterday and they accepted school supplies.
the letter he gave me for the sponsorship said school supplies.
Okay, on the information that they gave us said.
They took them over.
They took them.
Watch out for construction, inclusive parking and construction.
Is the water park running there? Water park's running there?
Yeah. Well, right now.
I think it is now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's operation, don't know. We're doing the phase 2 with the landscaping and the picnic table feature.
Got some work going on over at the skate park.
Yes, we're doing repairs over there as well.
Since Lewis is talking, I want to give Lewis and his guys a hand. That, thank you for getting Atkins open on.
Good morning.
Yeah. Was it midnight last night?
Oh, yeah.
We opened it at 2:30 yesterday, that's.
Do it again, aren't we gonna do the man?
Told me they were gonna have it open no matter what.
But they're gonna close it again to do the manhole covers, right? They're done.
You know, we'll be under traffic.
Matter of fact, there'll be a public release today. Todd Wondermuth is out today, but he promised me he'd have
Two outfits that look like manholes.
Never got speeds.
Well, that street, it's easy.
Didn't take long.
So we can go with that and drive everywhere with that, because there's no streets lane for traffic, because there's no lanes, right?
That's a pretty shortcut.
Oh.
Okay, good job. Yep, finally. How long did we work on the card?
That's great.
A year.
How about when you started the second?
We're gonna stop on.
Oh, probably.
County.
But that was. If you haven't noticed, and we have the ADA ramp for Level High, open for business day.
Cool. It's a process. It's a process. Okay, EDC, I don't see anybody here from them. Their fearless leader is out of state. And at least we got some figures.
Well,
although
you don't know what time period they had a little print problem.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell. We will address this in the future, probably in the term. Unless there's a need, get them in here next month. And if you had any questions, what you could decipher. Okay. Here we go. Public comment. Participation. Anybody online have anything they wish us to know? Now's your time. What? Why? Anybody online? Want to discuss anything? Okay. Please. Thank you. Time for the cover.
Thank you. Rita Kane Dorhofer, very narrow, unstriped Chicago Cubs mailbox, Mark Road. I was going to ask you all where you were 4 to 4 this morning. I was driving down Atkinson, and I was reading.
Subject to some interpretation.
Well, you want to see me? No.
The camera, the camera.
Anyway, I wanted to say that there's no more free cookies or anything because I am now selling Walk for Hope. No more free anything. Walk for Hope is on October 12th. No, I won't be there. Anyway, I'm just saying that the money all goes to the people that are fighting cancer. And we've had a couple of people in this room that have fought and beat cancer. So we do this for the public, and everybody on our board does not get paid a dime. Keep Chaves County Beautiful will be out there, and my little Cubs mobile will be out there. But if you want anything, you know how to reach me. There are several people in this room who are great customers, and they know that the money all goes to help people for cancer. Thank you.
Anybody else? Once, twice, we're adjourned.
They did it without money.
I sent her your number because you
Hey, Jamie. Oh, I left her a message.
Yeah.